What if I told you that every time you hear Japanese spoken, you're listening to a 2,000-year layering of voices echoing through time, a language built from fragments of the vanished and the remembered, shaped by migrants, monks, poets, and warriors alike. 3 writing systems that by all logic shouldn't work together, yet somehow sing in harmony. This is the untold story of how Japanese became one of the most intricate and beautiful languages on earth. Why does Japanese flow like melody, while Chinese strikes like percussion? How did one nation weave 3 distinct scripts into a single living system? And why does it hold words for emotions English can't even name? Welcome to Japan Rewind, where we uncover the secrets Japan forgot to tell you. Today, we journey across 2,000 years of evolution, from prehistoric whispers to the digital age. By the end, you'll understand why Japanese isn't just spoken, it's crafted. The voices that vanished. Picture this, around Jōmon times, before writing, before empires, before the pyramids. People in the islands of Japan were already shaping clay into some of the world's first pottery. They had no alphabet, no script, only voice, rhythm, and ritual. The Jōmon people lived for millennia without ever writing a single word. Their stories survived only in sound, chanted in ceremonies, murmured to children, offered to the spirits of mountain and sea. Archaeologists find patterns in their pottery, hints of symbolism, evidence of belief systems, but no record of what those early voices sounded like. Their languages are lost, as unknowable as smoke carried by wind. Then, beginning around the 10th to 8th centuries BCE, new migrants arrived from the Korean peninsula, the Yayoi people. They brought wet rice farming, metal tools, and a new way of speaking. Imagine the first meeting. A Jōmon hunter and a Yayoi farmer unable to understand a single word, yet over generations their speech blended, birthing something new. Far to the north, the Ainu spoke a language unlike any other, an isolate with words shaped by snow, wind, and the hunt. Japan was never a single tongue. It was a chorus of dialects, accents, and ways of being. And from that chorus, the roots of modern Japanese began to take hold. When writing came to the islands, by the 4th to 6th centuries CE, ships from the Korean kingdoms brought envoys, scholars, and butsukiyu monks, carrying with them something that would forever transform Japan: Chinese writing. It didn't arrive all at once. It trickled in over decades through trade and religion. The chronicles record 552 CE as the official year Buddhism came from Kudara, though some scholars argue it was 538. Either way, the arrival of Chinese texts marked the birth of literacy in Japan. But there was a problem. Chinese and Japanese were as different as 2 worlds. Chinese was tonal, compact, and grammatical in isolation. Japanese was melodic, agglutinative, and heavily inflected. To read Chinese with Japanese grammar was like forcing a square peg through a circle of sound. So Japanese scholars became linguistic engineers. They devised kanbun kundoku, an ingenious reading system that added small diacritical marks and reorder symbols called karitan, guiding the reader how to transform classical Chinese into Japanese syntax. It was part translation, part magic, a way to make another language speak with a Japanese soul. Through these annotated texts, Japan absorbed vast amounts of vocabulary, philosophical, political, and spiritual. These Chinese-derived compounds, called kango, now form roughly 60% of dictionary entries in modern Japanese, though in daily speech they make up far less. Words like kyuiku for education, bungaku for literature, keizai for economy, and seihu for government all entered through these linguistic gates. But while they had the words, they still lacked the means to express the music, the living rhythm of their own language. The women who shaped the script. While male scholars wrestled with the rigid structure of Chinese classics, women in the Heian court quietly revolutionized writing itself. They took complex Chinese characters and softened them into graceful flowing curves. Hiragana, known dismissively as onade, the women's hand. Men considered it informal, emotional, even improper. Yet it became the very soul of Japanese literature. Using hiragana, women recorded diaries, letters, and poetry that captured not politics but emotion, not edict but experience. Murasaki Shikibu wrote, The Tale of Genji around the year 1000 CE, 54 chapters tracing the loves and losses of courtly life. Often called the world's first psychological novel, it revealed the interior world of feeling, long before Europe had a word for introspection. Her contemporary, Sei Shiunagon, composed the Pillow Book, witty, sharp, and alive with detail. 1,000 years later, her humor still resonates. These women didn't just write stories, they redefined what written language could be, transforming it into an instrument of thought and art. Meanwhile, Butsukyu monks were developing another script, katakana, derived from fragments of Chinese characters used to annotate texts and transcribe Sanskrit terms. It was fast, angular, and functional. Together with kanji, Japan had now woven something the world had never seen. 3 scripts in one sentence: kanji for meaning, hiragana for grammar and emotion, katakana for emphasis and foreign sounds. Few languages on earth intermix 3 systems so seamlessly, and Japan made it art. When language became art, the Heian period, 794 to 1185, was a golden age of elegance. In Kyoto, language itself became a form of sculpture. Court nobles held poetry contests called uta-awase, where a single misplaced syllable could end a career. Fluency wasn't just admired, it was survival. Every brushstroke mattered. Paper color, fragrance, even the season referenced in a verse carried coded meaning. A love letter written on the wrong paper could shatter a relationship. From this culture of refinement emerged words that captured emotions too subtle for translation. Komorebi, sunlight filtering through leaves. Yugen, a beauty so profound it defies description. And centuries later, in the 18th century, scholar Motori Norinaga named another, Monano aware, the quiet sadness that comes from recognizing impermanence. Through words like these, Japanese transformed perception itself into poetry. But while courtiers composed verses under cherry blossoms, beyond Kyoto's walls, a new power was rising, one that would turn language into hierarchy and discipline. The samurai and the language of honor. The samurai mastered more than the sword. They mastered speech. Language became a weapon of respect, every phrase a measure of rank and humility. From this evolved keigo, the intricate system of honorific speech that still governs Japanese etiquette today. Even the simplest act, like eating, could change depending on who you were speaking to. Tabaru, the neutral form. Meshiagaru, honorific, used toward a superior. Itadaku, humble, used toward oneself. That last form lives on in itadakimasu, a ritual of gratitude before every meal, echoing centuries of humility and awareness. Keigo didn't just mark politeness, it mapped society itself. In the Shiugun's court, the wrong phrasing could damage reputation or invite insult. Among merchants and craftsmen, it became a language of business and respect. Japanese society began to calibrate itself through speech, a linguistic compass that pointed toward harmony. Every word revealed who you were and who you stood before. The Great Isolation and the dialect explosion. From the 1630s onward, the Tokugawa shogunate closed Japan's borders under the Sakoku policy. So foreign contact was limited. Dutch and Chinese traders confined to Nagasaki, missionaries expelled, and Japanese forbidden to leave. What happens when a language lives almost entirely within itself for 2 centuries? It blossoms inward. Regional dialects multiplied like wildflowers. In Osaka and Kyoto, Kansai speech developed its playful rhythm and warmth. In the snowy north, Tohoku dialects grew thick and musical. And far to the south, on the islands of Okinawa, the Ryukyu languages, the southern branch of the Nihongo family, evolved apart, now tragically endangered. Each region carried its own sounds, its own words for weather, spirit, and daily life. Isolation fractured unity, but it also preserved beauty. Old grammar survived in the mountains long after it vanished in the capital. Ancient pronunciations lingered in fishermen's songs. Then came 1868, the Meiji Restoration. Japan reopened to the world and rushed to modernize. Schools, military service, and newspapers began spreading the Tukyu dialect as the national standard. The Genbunitsuchi movement aligned written language with the spoken tongue. By the 1920s, a shared Japanese had reached nearly every classroom and radio. Yet the dialects never died. They lived quietly in homes, in laughter, in lullabies. Even today, a Kyoto grandmother may scold her grandchildren in kansaiben, carrying centuries of memory in a single phrase. The beautiful chaos of modern Japanese. Modern Japanese is elegant complexity, a living time capsule of every era that came before it. Open a book and you'll see kanji, hiragana, and katakana dancing across the same line. Thousands of homophones balanced by context and character. The word kami can mean paper, hair, or God. Only the surrounding script reveals which world you speak of. Children spend 12 years mastering the system, learning 2,136 Zyūyū kanji and their multiple readings, memorizing stroke order and tone. It's demanding, but it's also what makes Japanese so rich, so layered, so alive. Loan words keep flowing in, each one a story of contact and change. From Portuguese came pan, bread. From Dutch, biru, beer. From German, arubaito, part-time work. And from English, anime, sarariman, and countless others. Japan borrows, but always makes it its own. A personal computer becomes pasokon. Remote control becomes rimokon. Reshaped by sound and culture until foreign becomes native. This is how Japanese thrives, not by purity, but by adaptation. The digital age and linguistic innovation. The 21st century brought new challenges and new brilliance. How do you type 3 scripts on a keyboard built for 26 letters? Japanese engineers created input systems that let users type phonetic kana and convert them instantly into kanji, a digital extension of centuries-old script logic. Online, language began to play again. Young people mixed scripts for rhythm and emotion, used katakana for emphasis in casual writing, and invented kaomozi, text-based faces that captured subtle emotion, expressions impossible to translate into standard emoji. Even social platforms had to adapt, redesigning interfaces to support vertical text and complex character sets. Digital communication didn't simplify Japanese, it deepened it. It gave ancient forms new life in pixels and code. The same attention to hierarchy, aesthetics, and tone that shaped court poetry now guides messages on smartphones. Japan's linguistic genius lies in this balance, the ability to evolve without erasing the past. The mystery solved. So where did Japanese truly come from? From Zyūmon fires that burned stories into memory without writing. From Yayoi migrants who brought new words along with rice and bronze. From Chinese monks translating sutras by candlelight. From Heian court ladies who turned script into song. From samurai who embedded respect into grammar. From merchants of Osaka who filled markets with laughter and dialect. From engineers who taught computers to speak in kana and kanji alike. Unlike most languages that discard their past, Japanese carried every layer forward. It never chose between old and new. It simply learned to speak both. Every konnichiwa, every bow, every brush stroke of a character holds 2 millennia of living memory. Japanese isn't just a language. It's a time machine, a museum that breathes, a bridge between eras that shouldn't touch but somehow do. In a world rushing towards sameness, Japanese stands as proof that complexity can be beautiful, that tradition and innovation can coexist like melody and rhythm, and that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, only experienced, one carefully chosen word at a time. If this journey through language and history stirred something in you, tap that like button and subscribe to Japan Rewind. Which part of Japan's linguistic story surprised you most? Tell me in the comments. I read them all. And if you want to uncover more hidden layers of Japanese history, from secret samurai codes to the lost worlds of Kyoto, check out our playlist next. Until next time, keep rewinding through Japan's incredible past.